I made a short film in 3 hours, 3 days, and then 3 months. This was a big project. So, here's what I learned. So, in this video I'm going to take you behind the scenes on all 3 of these short films, show you how everything went down and what I in the end learned from them. Let's get started with a 3-hour short film. So here we go, timer on, 3 hours and start. Okay, first thing I want to do is just look for props and things that I could use for this film. Oh, I can't carry this. Wait, no. And I'm not going to lie, I actually do already have an idea for this, so I'm not coming up with the idea within the 3 hours, but I still got to figure out how I'm actually going to do all of this and then, the actual shooting part. The idea for this film is to keep it super simple as I possibly can. That means one location, one actor, me, and under 1 minute is the goal. I had this idea of a character who's sort of at a call center or something, maybe in the 80s, 90s, and all of a sudden he's on a call with God. And so it's kind of like a dialogue with God. Immediately I really like this microphone here and the headset. This is kind of cool too. So many headphones. Ooh, this is super cool. This is an old film camera. I can't use it for this, but still very cool. Okay, this is the stuff that caught my eye. I think maybe we can make it look like I'm somehow, talking to God through this. Something like plugging this in here. And also, this being a red microphone, I think I'm going to completely commit and go all the way red with the entire visual style of this film. That means I somehow need to turn this black background into a red background. To be honest, I have no idea how I'm going to do that. It's a problem for later. Right now I got to figure out what I'm actually going to be saying, so maybe write down a little bit of dialogue. And we are already half an hour in. I think I'm going to give myself like an hour to properly write this dialogue, then another half an hour to finish setting everything up, and then we have 1 hour to actually shoot. That just means really nothing is allowed to go wrong right now. Okay, so I scribbled down some stuff here. It took me a little bit more than an hour, of course, but I'm actually really happy with what I just wrote down. I think this is really good, and to be fair, that's probably because I was thinking about making this quite a bit before. I don't think I could have come up with this just like that in 1 hour. But yeah, I think what I've got now is actually really good, kind of philosophical and all that. You'll see in a second. And I just found this metronome, which gave me a really cool idea. I'm going to use this as a stylistic tool so that every time God speaks, the sound of the metronome is slightly different. I think this is really going to get it to the next level. So to be completely honest, I actually really didn't manage it at all. It took me way longer, which is why I also didn't really film any behind the scenes anymore. I filmed for like definitely 1.5 hours and then still editing the whole thing. Okay, the editing is very quick, but yeah, it was definitely more than 3 hours in the end. I guess I already failed the challenge. But no, you know what, it's fine. It was still close to 3 hours. We don't have to take the times that exactly, right? In the end, I decided the headset wasn't really working, so I switched to a normal phone after all. With that being said, here's the final film. This is God speaking. Do you actually exist? Or am I just imagining you? Because all my life I've been taught to see you where others would see nothing. What do you mean, does it matter? Of course it matters! have so many questions. What do you mean, what matters most? What matters most? Everything! Nothing. What matters most doesn't matter. Only what is does. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. What is matters most. So, what is? Hello? Hello?
Please continue to hold. Your call is important to us. Thank you for your call. You are currently in a queue. We will answer your call as soon as we can.
Okay. I think for a little more than 3 hours, I'm actually really happy with this short film. If you can even call it a short film. I mean, it's literally just 2 shots. But yeah, I definitely think this came out great. It is now Thursday at 10 o'clock, which means Saturday 10 o'clock, my next short film has to be finished. But now, having 3 days time for all of this, I'm definitely going to take way more time to actually come up with a good concept and an actual good idea. I do already know one thing though, and that's that I want to go into the style direction of Shy Guy. Alright, 3 days still, not very much, so I'm going to still try to keep it really simple. I still only want one actor, still me, because I'm actually starting to have really much fun acting. Then every time I come back I can edit just that part, so that at the end of day 3 I only have to edit a tiny little bit to put the entire thing together. Okay, I'm excited for this one. The idea that I eventually came up with was that in the first scene there's 2 versions of me talking to each other, with the main question being, how do we even know any of this is real? And from that moment on he goes on some kind of a weird trip where reality just starts acting all crazy. Okay, so I just did a whole lot of research about this Shy Guy. So much so actually that I'm making an entire video about him, and just this video that you can watch. It's probably already out before this one. But yeah, this right here is the plan. This once again took way longer than I thought, so actually I'm going to film 2 locations tomorrow, first early in the morning, then in the evening, and then the last location on the last day. It's definitely going to be a close one, but this time I actually want to manage to do it on time. So I'm out here now early in the morning, and I'm going to try to film the first part of this little short film, or whatever you want to call it. But the setup was very simple actually. Just I used this as sort of the second me, so I know where I was standing. Stood next to it, put the 2 lights as close as possible, and then the camera on the tripod back there, and then just film. And yeah, I hope that worked. Now, to get the effect of 2 of you being in the frame, all you have to do is set your camera onto a tripod and then act out both versions of yourself while making sure that you don't overlap with your other version. Then in editing you simply cut out the other half of the image, which reveals the other version of you under it. The whole file is just a bunch of free assets from Production Crate that you can basically just drag and drop into your footage. Here's all of my stuff. Here's my pullover. Everything's everywhere right now. Now for the second scene I wanted to match cut to me just randomly floating around in the air. And so to do that, first I just took a picture of this window and then had to risk looking like an idiot pretending to be flying in my garden. I couldn't get a clean key, so I used this white background, kind of like a green screen, which I am telling you right now had a personal problem with me. A bunch of compositing and a lot of chasing cloth later, I had this. For the last and biggest scene, I first built a set, which was this table, and then just replaced the objects with other random objects for this really cool effect. So I can't lie, I actually just completely forgot to film the last shot, so came all the way back out here again. So I just went and reshot that real quick, and I still actually had more than enough time in the evening to put together all of these already edited parts. Okay, here's the final Shy Guy inspired film. So, how do you even know any of this is real? Is it? Sorry, I thought you disappeared there for a second. Alright, we went from one location and one actor to 3 locations and 1 actor, and now we're going to jump all the way to 4 actors and I don't even know how many locations, because for this one we're flying to Iceland. And I think honestly that is the biggest difference, the amount of people you can get to work for your film. That's what the time really gets you. And of course, if you have watched this channel before, you might now be realizing that I'm talking about a film that I have made before. So yeah, this is me being completely honest. This film has already been made. I made it before the other 2 films, and it's actually what gave me the idea to make this video in the first place. So yeah, if you want to see how I made this film all the way in detail, then there's a really long video that is just all about that. But right now here I'm going to show it really shortly and also give some information that are not in the other behind the scenes video. So the first thing I needed was an idea, a story, a whole concept of what this biggest project that I've ever made was going to be all about. And many people have asked me now from where my ideas come. And to be honest, I always give the same answer. It's kind of everything. So maybe once you've read some kind of a book that sparks an idea, or you have listened to a music that gave you a very distinct visual, maybe even just a sound. Sometimes I see some kind of a shot of a movie which gives me an idea for a completely different type of movie. So yeah, I think it's really just when you start constantly thinking about it, then everything around you starts giving you ideas. And then if you still can't come up with anything, then realizing your limitations is a really good idea. Like for an example, for this film, I knew I had a maximum of 4 people that could act in it. Both my sisters, my mother and me. I knew we would have to film it all in Iceland because we were going on holidays, in Iceland, and I knew I wouldn't have that much time to shoot because obviously they wouldn't want to be constantly just investing all the time into this film. And so I thought about what kind of a genre would really fit to Iceland, which of course the first thing that comes to your mind is fantasy. The landscapes and just basically everything in Iceland looks so different and otherworldly. It's perfect for a fantasy film. So I spent the entire first month only on pre-production, writing a script, making a shot list, getting all of the costumes, the props ready. This is such an important phase. The better you're prepared here, the more smoothly the entire production is going to go. Then I packed all the stuff that I needed, and once we were in Iceland we filmed on 4 separate days, always only very late in the evening because it never really gets dark in Iceland, so we had to film quite late. And even though I thought I was really well prepared, so many things went wrong. I mean, this was technically the first proper short film that I was ever making, so there were just so many things that I never thought about. Now in this scene I needed a shot where you could see a picture of the landscape in the book, so that the viewer realizes she fell into the world of the book. However, there was no way to print a picture over there in Iceland, so what I ended up doing is taking a clean plate of just the landscape and then recorded her actually holding the book once we were back at home again in front of a green screen, and then compositing these two. Hopefully no one notices that. And again, I go into that really deeply in the long behind the scenes. At any rate, we somehow managed to film everything that we needed in some shape or form. And so that's when the entire editing part started. So yeah, that used up all the rest of the time, so that in the end, I would say it was about 3 months for the entire production. So, now the big question. Was this all worth it? Is the 3-month short film actually so much better than the 3-hour or the 3-day short film? And to be honest, I think it's probably not. I mean, was it worth it? 100%. But is it that much better? I think not. I mean, it's really difficult to compare. I mean, the 3-month one is so much bigger, so much more complex, so many more things can go wrong and did go wrong, so I don't think it's really a fair comparison. And also the 3-month short film is like 9 minutes long. I'm sure that if I in these 3 months would have made a 2-minute short film, it would have been way better than if I would have made it in 3 days. And also I made both the shorter ones after the long one. So for me, the long 3-month short film was kind of like my own personal film school. I learned so much from there and made so many mistakes. So here's what I think the biggest lesson is. What you really need is a very clear story and a very clear concept. When you have that, you need to figure out a way how to tell that in the shortest amount of time. Because again, making a 9-minute short film, every single minute then has a lot less time to make, which means the quality will suffer from it. So I would now rather make something that's really short, but for that it's every single minute of it is really good, and it's not just kind of some good parts and then some middle parts, which I would say is what happened with the 9-minute short film. But you can go and see for yourself. Both the short film and the behind the scenes are linked down in the description. Also, both of the other 2 short films are linked if you want to watch these again. Obviously I'm not going to show you the 9-minute short film right here, that would be way too long, so go ahead and look at these. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.